I don't remember walking into that house, but I remember the light. A faint glow where there should have been only shadows. Everyone in the town said the house was abandoned, its windows sealed, its doors nailed shut, and yet, that night, a single bulb glowed in the upstairs room, like an eye watching. The house pulls me into a dream that isn't mine. The front door vanishes behind me, replaced by a hallway. It stretches forever. Wallpaper peels and strips, revealing wet, black wood beneath. Every light bulb flickers like a heartbeat, buzzing too close to my ears. Every footstep echoes, but not just mine. There's always a second echo, delayed, following. My hand brushes the wall. It pulses, almost alive. The hallway bends, curves, loops, but never ends. And then, far ahead, a door appears, like an invitation. I should have turned away. I should never have stepped inside, because some places are abandoned for a reason. The house pulls me into a dream that isn't mine. The front door vanishes behind me, replaced by a hallway. It stretches forever. Wallpaper peels in strips, revealing wet, black wood beneath. Every light bulb flickers like a heartbeat, buzzing too close to my ears. Every footstep echoes, but not just mine. There's always a second echo, delayed, following. My hand brushes the wall. It pulses, almost alive. The hallway bends, curves, loops, but never ends. And then, far ahead, a door appears. The night was heavy with silence, broken only by the crunch of gravel under hesitant footsteps. The abandoned house loomed at the edge of the street, its windows dark holes, its roof sagging like something long dead but not yet buried. Grass, tall and unkempt, swayed against the cracked walls, and the faint glow of a single light in the top window pierced the blackness. Unnatural, like a signal meant for no one living. His chest tightened as he approached the crooked gate, its hinges groaning in protest as he pushed it open. Every instinct screamed to turn back, but curiosity burned hotter than fear. He told himself it was just a house rotting wood and dust. Yet deep down, something inside whispered, "It's waiting." The air shifted the moment he stepped onto the porch. The wind died. Even the insects outside fell quiet. He could hear only his own breathing, shallow and fast, and the faint dripping of water somewhere deep inside the house. The front door was ajar, just enough to invite him in. And with each creak of the wooden steps, the glow from the upstairs window seemed to pulse brighter. Inside, the smell hit him first mildew, damp earth, and something metallic like rusted iron or old blood. The floorboards sagged beneath his shoes, and dust hung in the air like fine mist, sparkling in the weak beam of his flashlight. Each corner he turned stretched too far, too long, as if the house itself was rearranging behind him, eager to trap him deeper. A sound broke the stillness, faint footsteps echoing from the hallway ahead. He froze, light trembling in his hand. The sound didn't belong to him. It was too slow, too deliberate. For every step he took forward, another followed just behind. He spun the flashlight around, but the hallway was empty except for peeling wallpaper. Shadows that twitched like they had lives of their own, and that unnatural glow seeping through the cracks above. He tried to steady his breathing, but his chest felt tighter with every passing second. Sweat crawled down his temples, cold against his skin. The silence was worse than the noise pressed against his skull, thick and suffocating. Then came a whisper, soft as breath against his ear. "Don't look up." His heart stopped. And yet, against every instinct, he tilted his head toward the ceiling. The plaster above was bulging, swelling like something inside was pushing out. Slowly, with a sickening crack, a black stain spread across the ceiling, dripping one heavy drop at a time onto the wooden floorboards at his feet. He staggered back, pulse thundering in his ears, the whisper repeating in his head, faster now, urgent. "Don't look up. Don't look up." A sudden gust of wind tore through the hallway, though no window was open. His flashlight flickered, and for a second the house seemed alive, walls breathing, doors groaning like bones, floorboards pulsing like veins. He stumbled toward the staircase, the glow above calling him, demanding him. With each step, the sound of something climbing down to meet him grew louder. The house felt smaller, tighter, as if the walls were closing in. His vision blurred at the edges, dizziness clawing at him, yet he kept climbing, drawn by that single, impossible light. The stairs screamed under his weight, every creak echoing like a warning he refused to hear. At the landing, the glow spilled through a cracked door, painting the hall in sickly yellow. He reached out with a trembling hand, his fingertips brushing the doorframe. The light inside went out. Would you like me to continue this scene forward into the full upstairs discovery moment, where he finally encounters what's been waiting in the glowing room, or should I keep layering more suspense and atmosphere before revealing anything? A door stands in the middle of the hallway. Not at the end, not attached to any frame, just standing. Its wood is darker than the walls around it, its handle icy cold, like metal buried in snow. I know I shouldn't open it, but the dream doesn't let me choose. When I push it open, I don't find another hallway. I find a room, my bed, my desk, my window. Everything exactly as I left it, except one thing. Someone is sitting on the bed, facing away, waiting. The hallway stretched unnaturally, its walls damped with some unseen moisture that dripped in steady beats onto the warped wooden floor. In the middle of this impossible passage stood a door slated, unhinged from logic, its black wood darker than shadow, as though carved from night itself. The frame was absent, yet the door existed, complete, waiting, humming with a presence that felt older than the house itself. His pulse thundered in his chest as he stepped closer. Every instinct screamed to turn back, but his feet betrayed him, dragging forward like a puppet tugged by invisible strings. The air around the door was icy, each breath fogging faintly despite the suffocating heat behind him. He reached out, his fingers trembling, and the chill of the brass handle stung like winter steel pressed against bare flesh. The silence was unbearable, too perfect, too heavy. Then came the low hum, vibrating from the wood, not heard, but felt, like something alive, pressing its voice into his bones. Behind him, the hallway seemed to close in, walls leaning, the lights above flickering until only the door was illuminated. Standing like a spotlighted stage prop in a theater of nightmares. When he finally pushed it open, the world shifted. The creak of the hinges was impossibly loud, echoing as if inside a cavern. Beyond lay not another stretch of hallway, but a room. His room. His chest seized with terror. Everything was there exactly as he'd left it. The bed, the desk, the cracked window pane. Only one detail was wrong. Someone was sitting on the bed, and the figure's back was to him, shoulders slouched, hands resting neatly on its knees. The silence deepened, pressing against his eardrums, his own heartbeat, the only sound in the room. He tried to speak, to demand an explanation, but his throat locked tight, refusing sound. The figure shifted slightly, the mattress groaning under its weight, acknowledging his presence without turning. The air grew dense, suffused with a sour metallic temps, like iron left to rot in rain. His skin prickled with static, every hair standing on end. The single bulb above hummed angrily, its light swelling too bright, then dimming until only shadows painted the figure's outline. Something wet dripped onto the floor near his feet. He dared to glance down dark spots, spreading, glistening, impossible to identify. A whisper broke the silence, so soft it felt breathed into his ear, though the figure hadn't moved. It was his voice. It shouldn't have come here. His stomach lurched, bile burning his throat. He stumbled back, but found the hallway gone. Its only walls remained, trapping him with a figure that now twitched its head, just slightly, toward him. The sound of nails dragging across wood filled the air, though the figure's hands still rested perfectly on its knees. The screech came from nowhere and everywhere at once, vibrating through his teeth, burrowing into his skull. The bulb flickered again, each flash revealing the figure shifting one frame closer. Closer still, as though time itself was stuttering forward without his consent. Terror clawed at his chest, cold sweat soaking his shirt as his back pressed against a wall that hadn't existed seconds before. He tried to close his eyes, but the whisper grew louder, layered, multiplied his own voice, chanting, taunting, mocking. "Okay?" The figure's shoulders began to rise and fall, violently, like it was laughing without sound, shaking harder with each pulse of the bulb. And then, with a sickening slowness, the figure turned. The figure turns its head, and I see my own face. But the eyes are wrong, too wide, too bright, like a mask stretched too thin. It smiles, and I feel my own lips curve against my will. It whispers in my voice, but not my words. "You shouldn't have opened the door." The dream shudders, walls buckle, the copy of me rises, and the house shifts again. The figure turned its head with a stiffness that seemed unnatural, like bones grinding together after years of stillness. When its face came into view, my breath hitched in my throat. It was me, my features, my skin, my jawline, but wrong in ways that made my stomach twist. The eyes were stretched wide, unblinking, their brightness glowing faintly, as though something inside was trying to escape. Cold dread spilled through my veins as I stared, unable to move. My heartbeat was a hammer in my ears, deafening in a suffocating silence. I wanted to back away, to run, but my legs were rooted to the spot, heavy, as if nailed to the floor. The air felt thick, like breathing underwater, every inhale scraping like glass down my throat. The bulb above buzzed violently, swinging ever so slightly, though no wind stirred. Its light flashed in uneven bursts, each flicker sharpening the edges of its grin. And then, horrifyingly, I felt the corners of my own lips twitch upward, pulling into a smile I did not want to wear. My reflection's grin widened in response, as if it were controlling me, tethering me. A sound slithered into the room low, soft and chilling. The figure's lips moved, but the voice came from directly inside my skull. It was my voice, distorted, stretched too thin. "You shouldn't have opened the door," it whispered, every word slicing through the silence like a blade. My skin erupted in gooseflesh, my bones trembling beneath it. The walls around us groaned, shifting, bending in strange angles that defied reason. The floor seemed to breathe beneath my shoes, boards flexing as though alive. Wallpaper peeled upward in curling strips, revealing darkness beneath, not wood, not brick, just an endless void that seemed to pulse with hunger. The entire house shuddered, like it was alive and aware of me. A rush of air whipped across the room, smelling of rot and ash. My ears popped from the pressure, and the bulb exploded in a shower of sparks, plunging the room into stuttering flashes of shadow and light. Each flash revealed my double closer, standing taller, its body jerking forward in frames like a corrupted film. It was rising from the bed now, its movements too sharp, too fast. My chest clenched as panic took hold. My arms refused to obey me, locked at my sides, trembling violently. I wanted to scream, to beg, but my jaw tightened on its own, my teeth grinding against each other as though the figure were controlling me. My own breath sounded foreign, raspy, desperate, like something was pulling it out of me instead of letting me breathe. The sounds multiplied, the creak of the bed frame, the groan of the walls, and beneath it all, a low, wet gurgling that came from nowhere I could see. The air vibrated with it, rattling through my chest cavity, making me sick to my stomach. My reflection tilted its head sharply, neck bending too far, bones cracking in ways mine should never bend. The smile on its face stretched wider, splitting into something inhuman. The room spun, the door behind me slamming shut with a thunderous finality. My mind raced, searching for an exit, but every window showed only the hallway again, repeating, infinite. My double took one deliberate step forward, its footfall echoing twice, as though two of them were walking in unison. My body mirrored it, against my will, stepping closer in return. And then the house roared a deep, guttural vibration, shaking dust from the ceiling. The walls buckled inward, the floor splintered, and the air grew razor-sharp, slicing at my skin. My double's face pressed closer to mine, eyes blindingly bright now, burning into me. Its voice surged in my head, deafening, final. You can't leave. The rooms collapse, fold, rearrange. Staircases lead nowhere. Doors open into ceilings. Windows reveal only walls. The house is no longer a house. It's a maze. Every corner I turn, I hear breathing. Sometimes it's my voice. Sometimes it's a stranger's. Sometimes I can't tell the difference. The walls drip with black water. Whispers bleed through the cracks. Ka. They chant one phrase over and over. Stay in the dark. Stay in the dark. But the house pushes me forward, toward a broken window that doesn't open to outside. It opens into a forest. The house shifted like a living creature, its bones cracking, its flesh rearranging. Walls folded inward, ceilings melted into the floor, and staircases twisted into spirals that ended in nothingness. Every step forward felt like stepping deeper into a mouth that was slowly swallowing me whole, reshaping itself so there could be no escape. Panic pulsed through my veins as I spun in circles, searching for something familiar, something real, but everything was wrong. A door appeared where no wall had been, only to vanish when I reached for it. My chest tightened with the crushing weight of being trapped inside something that didn't want me to leave. The air was damp, every breath heavy with the stench of rot and mold. I could hear dripping all around me, as though the walls themselves were bleeding water. My flashlight beam cut through the darkness, but illuminated nothing stable, just shifting corridors and shadows that twitched like they were alive. Then came the breathing, at first faint, then louder, then everywhere at once. Sometimes it echoed in my own voice, hollow and trembling, and other times it was deep and guttural, belonging to something not human. My skin crawled at the thought that maybe it wasn't outside me at all. Maybe it was coming from inside my head. The whispers began as a trickle, seeping through the cracks in the walls like smoke. They layered over each other, overlapping, repeating one phrase in perfect unison. Asterisk, stay in the dark. Stay in the dark. Asterisk, each word scraped across my nerves like nails on glass. And the more I tried to block it out, the louder they became, until it was all I could hear. Light flickered violently above, buzzing like angry insects. My eyes darted upward just as black liquid began leaking from the ceiling, dripping thickly down the walls. It smelled of iron and earth, and when it touched the floor, it spread like veins, crawling toward me. I staggered back, but the floor shifted beneath me, guiding me forward, whether I wanted it to or not. Shadows writhed across the edges of my vision, darting just out of sight. Every time I turned my head, they vanished, only to reappear somewhere else. My heartbeat echoed too loudly in my ears, making me dizzy. I clutched my chest, gasping for air, but the whispers didn't stop. They grew more frantic, more desperate, as though warning me of something worse ahead. The corridor opened into a long stretch that seemed to breathe with me. The walls swelled outward as I inhaled and contracted as I exhaled. Cade, the sensation made bile rise in my throat. I pressed forward because the house allowed me no other choice. Every path behind me already sealed, every step driving me closer to the inevitable. At the end of the corridor stood a shattered window. Cone glass hung like jagged teeth, framing an impossible sight. It didn't open to the street outside. didn't open to anything familiar at all. Instead, beyond the cracked pane, a forest swayed in unnatural silence, its trees black against a starless sky. The whisper stopped, the air went still, and for the first time I realized the house wasn't pushing me toward the forest, it was feeding me to it. I fall into the trees, branches claw my skin. The air is thick, rotten. The moon above is wrong. It's not the moon, it's an eye. The forest is endless. Every path leads back to the same clearing. In the center stands a swing set, rusted, moving, though no wind blows. On the swing, a child, back turned, humming. When I step closer, the child stops, slowly looks up. It has no face. The forest swallowed me whole the moment I landed, branches tearing at my arms and face like skeletal fingers. The ground was soft, spongy, breathing almost, with each step sinking deeper into damp earth that reeked of rot. The trees leaned unnaturally close together, their barks slick with moisture, their twisted limbs blocking out the horizon. It felt like I had been dropped into the lungs of something alive. Terror tightened its grip on me as I stumbled forward. My skin burned from fresh cuts, but I hardly noticed over the pounding in my chest. I wanted to scream, to hear my own voice, just to prove I still existed, but my throat locked shut, strangled by fear. My only thought was to keep moving, though every instinct screamed I was not alone. The silence pressed against me, heavier than any sound could have been. No birds, no crickets, no wind. Just the occasional creak of wood as the trees seemed to shift slightly, adjusting their posture like they were listening. Above, what I thought was the moon hung too low, glowing an unsettling pale yellow. Then it blinked, and I realized it was not the moon at all but an eye. The air thickened with decay, so heavy it coated my tongue like spoiled meat. A faint humming floated through the trees, so delicate it was almost a lullaby, though off-key, as if sung by someone who had never heard music before. The sound beckoned me, tugging me deeper into the forest until I found myself in a small clearing. In the center stood a rusted swing set, its chains corroded, its paint peeled down to jagged iron. One swing swayed back and forth, creaking rhythmically, though the air was completely still. On it sat a child, small and still, feet not touching the ground. The humming came from them, low and droning, repeating a single broken tune again and again. My stomach twisted as I stepped closer. The child's back remained to me, head bowed, the faint outline of tangled hair obscuring its neck. The swing moved without pause, as if time itself was caught in a loop. Every step I took seemed to echo too loudly, crunching against the damp soil. But the humming didn't falter. It grew louder, sharper, as though the child was aware of me now. Goosebumps rose along my arms as the air grew colder, my breath puffing visibly in front of me. My hands trembled, not from the chill, but from the unbearable wrongness of the scene. I wanted to back away, to vanish into the trees, yet some force pushed me forward, making me stand at the edge of the swing's arc. The humming cut off in an instant. The silence returned, sharper this time, suffocating. The swing slowed until it stopped entirely, the chains groaning in protest. The child's head tilted slightly, not enough to reveal a face, just enough to confirm it had heard me. My heart hammered against my ribs, begging me to run, but my feet betrayed me, frozen in place. With agonizing slowness, the child lifted its head. The face that stared back at me was not a face at all smooth skin, stretched tight where eyes, nose, and mouth should have been. The blankness pulsed, like something beneath was trying to break through. For a moment, I thought I heard breathing, but it was coming from inside that empty canvas. Then the faceless head twitched violently, snapping upright as though it had smelled me. The humming returned, but this time it was my voice. I woke up in my own bed, sweat cold against my skin. But when I looked to the corner of my room, the light was still on. Not the lamp, not the ceiling bulb. It's the same light from the upstairs window of that abandoned house, still glowing, still waiting. And I realized something. The dream hadn't let me go, okay? The house hadn't let me go, okay? It had followed me home.